This is the Wise Guy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. We will be dissecting their journeys in hopes to deliver actionable content that you, the artist, can start implementing now, helping you grow not only as a creative spirit, but also a successful artistic entrepreneur. With a little organization, relationship building, and your artistic ability, you can obtain greatness. Climb aboard, whether an artist, retail owner, or enthusiast. We have a ton of fun in store for you. Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
You're listening to the Wise Guy Radio Show.
This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by American Helix. The American Helix is a revolutionary new concept in smoking technology. Designed and manufactured by American glassblowers, this pipe is light years ahead of its time. Based on Bernoulli's principle, the shape of the pipe, along with an innovative intake system, creates a Venturi effect through precision microholes in the chamber, which results in a slower burn that conserves tobacco and gives a smooth, refreshing smoking experience, making the American Helix the smoothest hitting pipe on the market. For further info or to locate their products, you can find them online at AmericanHelix.com. That's AmericanHelix.com. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Zen Glass Studios. Located in the heart of St. Petersburg, Florida, Zen Glass has a wide range of offerings to choose from. Their menu includes one-on-one or group classes in their hot shop or flameworking studio, create your own wine glass, and so much more. If you're a traveling artist, they even have a space to rent that you can temporarily call home. With over 50 years of combined experience, Zen Glass can help you fine-tune your techniques, whether you're a novice or advanced glass artist. For their calendar of events, including info about their Third Thursday studio jams, you can contact Zen at zenglass.com. That's zenglass.com. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to the Wise Guy Radio Show, episode number 155. This is Jay Michael, your host, and thank you so much for tuning in today. With 18 years of experience behind the torch, I am as excited as always to bring you conversations with artists, sharing their stories in hopes to inspire and entertain while helping you grow your business. And today is no exception. And yes, I say 18 years now because this April now is my anniversary for becoming a glass artist. It was about, I guess, Easter weekend-ish. It was when I met the guy who started teaching me back in the day, Gordon Key, and from him I spent a year and then went on myself and have been doing it ever since. And I can't believe it's now going on 18 years. It's pretty crazy. I started right before my daughter was born, and she'll be 18 in July this year, which has helped keep my head in the right space of understanding and knowing how many years I've been doing this. I mean, just the fact that my daughter's almost 18 is mind-boggling alone. But that being said, you know, when we do something we love to do, it takes a lot of time, a lot of hard effort, and struggles here and there. And I've had plenty of those, and still do, and continue to want to share and expand my horizons and share with you the stories that I've gone through and the understandings I've come up with and all that fun stuff. Because there's 18 years worth. And hopefully with this show and all these past episodes we have, it's helping you become a better artist and a better human being as well. So thanks for tuning in. Today's guest is Dan Witmer, who is co-founder of Zen Dude Fitness. And today's a special episode because Dan has been a mentor of mine for the last year and a half. His co-founder, co-partner, co-owner of Zen Dude Fitness, Brandon Epstein, had a podcast out for years called Entrepreneur Fitness that I first found when I was looking for kind of a fitness, I guess, podcast, but also business related. And Brandon's whole philosophy was all about the idea that when your mind and body are in shape, everything else around you more or less falls right in line. And it made so much sense. And Brandon's got a very philosophical, spiritual Zen philosophy in the way he takes his life and goes with it. Not without his own struggles and what have you, but through this whole concept, him and Dan came together. And Dan shares a story about how they came together. But I met Dan and got to know Dan through Brandon, through Dan becoming his business partner, and eventually they were coming on his show. And then they took a break, and then they started the Zen Dude Fitness podcast, and then they've grown from there. And I was a part of their beta test group, more or less, back in February of last year, 2016, where I began my fitness journey. And from that point on, I've been able to keep and maintain the loss of 30 pounds. And at the age of 40, I'm in the best shape of my life. I still got a ways to go in terms of my physique in a sense of what I'm going for. But that being said, the space that I'm now in a mental space and physical space, is completely night and day compared to where I was last year or 5 years ago even. And again, it's not without my own personal struggles and dealing with things on a daily basis, but have personally found that dealing with ADD and other things that I go through, that fitness has been a huge key to having the best days I can have in the mental space of things. If I'm feeling depressed or not motivated, I'll just pull the jump rope out and jump rope for about 15 minutes and go all out, balls to the walls. And not only does it kick my ass, but it gets my brain flowing and pumping, and then sets my entire day off to have an incredibly positive, focused, productive day. And I don't jump rope every single day, so I would say probably 4 out of 7 days a week I do. Before, when I first started this working out, I was completely gung-ho every day, and that's just kind of how I do things at first. I just go balls to the walls, and then eventually I'll level out and find my own pace that helps, basically of what I can do, and based on my situation and scheduling, etc. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been an awesome journey. And again, I wanted to bring Dan on, not only to share his story. Dan deals with his own ADD issues in a mental space. He deals with anxiety. He's been learning hip-hop dance for the last couple of years and has really been putting himself out there on his Instagram page, but also just going out in public and just dancing out in the middle of the street and just different things, just to put himself out there and to get past and over his feelings of uncomfortability or being uncomfortable, however you want to say that. And, just sometimes, I hear a lot in the business space or just in general that when things are uncomfortable and we're in this uncomfortable space, that there's two ways of handling it. Either you just avoid it and you just don't do it at all, or you just go in head first and just expose yourself to whatever this uncomfortable situation is. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to become successful and get past and over that hurdle. And usually when you get past that hurdle is when the doors begin to open up to show you the things that you've been searching for and fighting for and working so hard for. It's these roadblocks and barriers that we get through. And as a glass artist, we all know that our glass is very similar. When we take this glass medium that we use and we get out of our comfort zone and we try new things and expand our brains, it really does open up so many new little areas in our head and our souls and the creative space. When you get comfortable and you don't really find that when you turn your torch on and you're not feeling motivated, or that butterfly anxiety, adrenaline rush sensation that you have when you're working on something huge or small even, and you spend a lot of time and dedication and hard work into it, and not really sure if it's going to break or crack at the very end of the process. Those kind of uncomfortable feelings you have to get yourself into. And like I said, 9 times out of 10, when you get past that situation and you get over that hurdle, it's a fucking amazing feeling, especially when it becomes successful. Now, the times that you do get yourself put in those uncomfortable positions and situations that are not successful, it sometimes is good because it teaches you a lesson of maybe something you could have done differently, how you could have handled it differently, but it really allows you to get into the space just to figure this shit out. Because, not only is our glass difficult, but life is not easy to figure things out. And my whole goal with the show is not only to talk about and share stories as an artist, but also as, a human being and a 40-year-old man, and dealing with my own struggles and personal things. And, again, I find the glass and the glass life itself that we have in our daily goings on is very, very similar to just life itself. The whole idea is, you got to have your glass on center, otherwise things go to shit. If your life isn't on center, things tend to go to shit. So Dan talks about that a lot in here, and talking about mindset and just the importance of doing the thing, whatever that thing might be. Dan's now has it tattooed on him, 2 different spots, one on his forearm and also across his knuckles. It just says, "Do the thing." And it's a real deal for him and Brandon. Like, they do not fuck around. It's like, that's their life. And the thing could be whatever it is that you need to do, whether it's getting up in the morning and making a phone call you've been putting off forever, getting a package mailed out, doing some sit-ups, eating some breakfast, having a glass of water, whatever it is, whatever's in your head, whatever goals you've been putting off and wanting to accomplish, that thing is what you need to focus on, and just go fucking do it. And instead of sitting around and thinking, it's the whole difference between thinkers and doers, and typically the doers are the ones that are the most successful. Now, obviously, you got to think about something first, but if you just continue to say, "Oh yeah, I'm planning on doing that, I'm planning on doing that, I'm planning on doing that," you're never going to fucking do it. You just got to do it and just do the thing. And it's been part of my catalyst for my growth over this last year and a half, of this mindset and change in mindset. Because I have been the worst procrastinator on earth. Even still right now, I've got 4 orders I got to pack up and get out today that have been sitting at my house for fucking 2 weeks. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have any excuses except for that I haven't really been home lately. But That being said, I could ask for help, have somebody else ship them for me, or just fucking do it, which I'm doing today, finally. So, no excuses. So, kind of some quick background, though, on Dan himself. We first did record this episode, and my recorder turned off, and I lost the entire interview. And I didn't want to have him go through and regurgitate what we talked about before. So Dan's kind of humble beginnings. He started in corporate after getting out of college, and he was a big guy. He still is a big guy, but he's not a big guy like he was. He played football, had a very soft, big, stocky body composition, and really wanted to get himself into better shape. And was introduced from a friend of his to the jump rope because he saw a friend of his he hadn't seen for years, and his friend was shredded. And he's like, well, dude, how did you do this? And his friend's like, jumping rope. So Dan was introduced to the jumping rope fitness idea from his friend. And then through his job he had a cushy, corporate, well-paying job, but he says that he really wasn't happy. It don't matter how much money you make, because like for myself personally, doing this glass, I only melt glass because I fucking love it. Fortunately, I'm blessed because it helps pay my bills, but I don't do it for the money. The money is just a side effect, more or less, of doing what I do for a living and loving what I do. And with Dan, it was very similar. He saw the effects of jumping rope, and his mental space really helped him change a lot of the ways he thought. But also through his corporate job, he was finding that it was helping him get through his days. But also through his weight loss process from jumping rope and finding better nutrition, his people at work were asking him what he was doing, and he actually was offered and given the chance to teach a jump rope fitness class at the corporation that he worked at. And he did that for a couple of years, started a company called Base Jump. He's out of Austin, Texas. And from there, he then met Brandon, which I said earlier, and then they've gone from there to start the Zen Dude Fitness. And they actually both lived in the same apartment complex and didn't realize that they lived in the same apartment complex, even though they were chit-chatting online. And all of a sudden, they came to realize they were living in the same fucking place, which is just so kind of, just the way life is. It's just really neat. And so he talks about it, and he had to get to a point to where financially he was able to save up enough money to where he could walk away from his job. And the fear of walking away from a job when you're broke sucks, but when you have a little bit of a runway that can help get you through, even though you may not have a backup plan, it still helps. And that being said, in this glass space, if you're new to the glass and you're starting the process of learning and you have a job, keep your fucking job. Like, don't quit your job. That whole idea of, when you hear somebody singing really bad, you're like, oh yeah, don't quit your day job because you can't sing, kind of idea. But it's very similar with the glass. And once you get to a point to where you can get a consistent production line and have shops that are paying you on a regular basis, and you can put 90 days worth of money in a way in a little rainy day fund. So if you break an arm or something like that and you can't work, you're set. Things you got to think about. So Dan did that with his company that he saved up and then was able to walk away. And now him and Brandon live in Medellin, Colombia. They moved down there not only because it's a change of environment, but also very affordable for them to live down there and to live the lifestyle that they want to live. They live in a nice place, nice little condo down there. Beautiful scenery. If you guys go check out their YouTube channel, it's zendudefitness.com or Zen Dude Fitness on YouTube, actually. A lot of their videos that they make and that they offer for free out there their backgrounds is the mountains in Medellin, Colombia. It's absolutely gorgeous. And pretty soon they have a Costa Rica retreat coming up here in a couple months that a bunch of us from the group are heading down. Myself, I'm not, only because of where I am right now in my life and just some things going down. It's just not in my budget to get out and do that. But next time I do some kind of big, retreat of some sort, I'm going to be there. But still, Dan's perspective is really just all about what does it take to get out of bed every day and to live your fullest potential all day long. What does it take? A lot of times it takes a routine. Doesn't have to be the same routine every day, but typically it takes some kind of fitness in your life, even if it's just going for a walk for an hour just to clear your head. It takes proper nutrition, making sure that if you're wanting to be healthy and have a lean, fit body, that you can't smash calories all day. You've got to watch what you eat. And just understand that if you eat 3,000 calories in a day, well, you got to figure out a way to burn those 3,000 calories off. And the idea, too, we talk about intermittent fasting, which is something that I participate in, not every day, but generally my first meal of the day is around noon or 1 o'clock, unless I have my kids and we have breakfast in the morning, and then I go from there. But typically I do intermittent fasting where I eat my meals within an 8-hour window. And I'll sometimes go until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon without eating anything all day. I'll have a cup of coffee or couple cups of coffee and a shit ton of water, but no food. And then I'll eat about 4 o'clock, and then I'll eat 2,000 calories within 4 o'clock and usually 8 or 9 o'clock at night. and then I'm done till the next day. And I've done this now for over a year. Also, one thing I've also found, which I don't know how many of you out there do this, but I have finished my shower with a cold rinse every day. I would say 6 out of 7 days a week, or I would say actually more like 28 out of 30 days in a month. Because there's some times where I'm taking a shower at night and I don't want to do a cold rinse off before I go to bed because it just wakes me up. But literally, I have finished my shower every day with the coldest possible rinse off that I can. And just that alone has been invigorating and got my brain going. And I mean, there's all kind of things and benefits from it. But there's just like all these little nuances that are involved in the mind space and the physical space that we don't think about. And so pay attention to what you put in your body, whether it's alcohol all the time or crap food. I'm not saying don't eat crap food, because part of what Dan and Brandon preach is that the idea of this fitness idea, concept, lifestyle idea is to really eat what you want to eat within reason. Just don't be a frickin' pig. That's all it comes down to. If you want to eat a box of Oreos, go for it. But just understand that box of Oreos may be 1,000 or plus more calories in your day. And if you should only have 2,000 calories in your day, then you got to pay attention to what you're going to eat for the rest of the day. And also get a workout in so you can burn off that shit. Just some things to think about. And I'm rambling on here as I go on with this intro. So, that being said, to wrap this little thing up, don't forget also, right now, Mountain Glass has their April sale going on. They have their shot, rod, and tube going on right now for 35% off. Just go to mountainglass.com, and when you buy this stuff and you go to checkout, put in the code SHOT, that's SCHOTT at checkout to save 35% off. And for all you soft glass nerds out there, they have their Fetre sale going on, also 35% off. And all you have to do is put in the code of Fetre at checkout. That's EFFETRE at checkout. And Mountain Glass, again, they have several kiln sales and torch sales going on this month. Definitely go to mountainglass.com. Typically on their homepage, they'll have their sales and stuff. And if not, they have the little sales link you can click on. And then again, if you're brand new to the glass scene and you're looking at buying yourself a little starter kit, you can put in the code WISEGUY at checkout, WYZGUY at checkout, and save an additional 10% off on your order for your starter kits. So definitely check out mountainglass.com for all your needs in the glass world, whether you're melting soft glass or Boro, what have you. They have everything you need. And if they don't have it, 9 times out of 10, they can find it for you. So until next time, guys, I'm going to get the hell out of here. Time to get on with my day, go melt some glass myself. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Dan Witmer. Again, you can find Dan all over the social feeds. He is on Instagram. His personal Instagram is at @DWitmer, DWITMER. You can also find him with Brandon on their Zen Dude Fitness brand Instagram page at Zen Dude Fitness, also on YouTube. And go to zendudefitness.com. They've got a free 4-week challenge they're offering. They've been having this forever and ever. Gives you a chance to get involved in the community, get yourself kind of the ideas and a little spark in your fitness. And next thing you know, you're going to be losing weight, looking sexy, and feeling the best you've ever felt in your life. So until then, enjoy, and we'll talk to you next time. Love you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Peace. What's up, Dan? Welcome to the show, brother.
Jason, what's up, my dude? How you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. For those behind the scenes don't know this is our third attempt at recording this. Round one was a year ago with you and Brandon both, and then had some Wi-Fi issues on your end and whatever. And then last time I deleted the whole fucking thing. So here's round 3. It'll be even better.
Hey, dude.
Third time's a charm.
I've done it.
It goes along with that whole adversity and overcoming obstacles and moving forward.
Oh, dude, every time that happens, yeah. Well, like when Brandon and I do this, we record a 10-minute long video that takes us like a ton of time to script and shoot and all this, and then we like don't hit record, and we feel that that's just the universe's way of saying, oh yeah, you really want this that bad? Well, then you'll shut up and not complain and record it again.
Oh, dude, that's the worst.
Dude, it's terrible. It's not fun.
Hell yeah, man. So today we want to talk about, you're co-owner and co-founder of Zen Dude Fitness, and which I talked about in the intro to the show. And today we definitely want to talk about really the importance of fitness in life and how it really helps with mindset and overcoming obstacles and getting past the point of the barriers that come into our life, whether it's a actual physical barrier or when it comes to being an artist and having some things, techniques that aren't really going your way or something new you're trying to learn. And the idea of just not giving up and just knowing that when you get to that point of needing to push past that barrier is always, I shouldn't say always, but usually it's when it happens. Whatever it is when it happens. And
absolutely.
Yeah, man. So I guess kind of to back up, not to go into the whole origins, but like when you started to grow this business, which has been, an awesome thing for you guys and a struggle also, like was there a point where you really felt like in your day-to-day routine and mindset where really like fitness was the main reason why you were actually able to get through the day in a sense?
Yeah. Oh man. Absolutely, dude. I think chemically and like physically in our bodies and also mentally, it's the only remedy that's going to truly make you feel better in the right way. So for example, when people come to me and they say, man, I had such a stressful day that I didn't have time to work out, I like freak out because I'm like, dude, when you have a shitty day, like you have to work. When you don't have any time, that's when you absolutely have to work out because that's what's going to make you feel better. If you don't, you're going to continue to fall into this cycle of like feeling bad about yourself, and then you feel stressed, and then because you're not releasing any of that energy, it just compounds. So yeah, man, I mean, I think using fitness as a remedy to get over stress or anxiety or whatever it may be is like, for me, that's really the only true way to do it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And with you guys, like the jump rope fitness and body weight exercises is the main core of what you guys do. And so what was it about the whole jump roping that you feel was not, I guess I can't say better than the gym, but I mean, for me, I hate the fucking gym. I'm just not a gym person. But
yeah.
Like, what was it? Because I know you're the same way, dude. Like, you don't like running.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I don't like to run. I don't like to go to the gym, but being able to be at home with my jump rope. But for you guys, what was it specifically that you felt like the jump rope fitness exercise idea was going to be revolutionary for the fitness world? And in a sense, dude, like, when you guys started this, there was a couple videos out there of you guys and then a couple other people, and now it's like you put jump rope fitness in, and it's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I know, man. It's nuts. Like, I really think, to answer that first part, like that initially, I got started on the jump rope because of all the reasons you mentioned. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to. I just, I wanted to be able to do something fun outside. So I got started jumping rope because it was the only thing that, yeah, it's a cardio workout, but if you have a heavier rope or you're spinning that like weighted handle rope really fast, then you have like, you're providing a lot of resistance to your body and getting a total body workout. So I found it efficient to not only lose body fat, but to hang on to lean muscle mass. So physically, I was like, all right, I can get the result in the lean body that I want in a faster way, a more efficient way. So that's why I'm going to pick the jump rope. But then I think it became more about just fun, man. Like it was I'm one of the most lazy, incredibly active people I know. And what I mean by that is like, dude, I will go out of my way not to do something that I don't like, even if I know like it's going to be, like I could go, yes, hit the weights for, really hard, but I just don't want to do that. So instead, like I try to make everything that I'm doing fun, which is why, of course, like I'm always listening to music, jumping rope, doing some form of dance, or just like functional movement.
Yeah. And I think too, for myself, like when I got into the jump rope, and also it really helped, like with doing the glass for so long and having, one side dominant over the other in terms of the way I work. Like I was taught left-handed, which is kind of weird. Like whenever I work with people, they always ask me if I'm left-handed because most of my technique, most of my stability and what I do is all left-handed. And for those that don't understand the glass blowing, in a sense, imagine if you like always wrote with your right hand, and then all of a sudden someone taught you how to write with your left hand, and that's all you started doing, and you did that for so long. So like my left side of my body became overdeveloped, like my shoulders, my scapula area, like everything in that whole area has been overdeveloped. And I really found like even my physical therapist was like, you got to start working out your right side differently than your left to make sure you can balance yourself out. Because I was like walking around like felt like my spine was almost crooked, like my shoulders were offset, like I was jacked up.
Yeah.
And I started jumping rope, dude, and it changed everything. It allowed me to physically feel a change in having to use my right side more so than my left side, because I could feel my left side was powering my rope more than my right. But now that I can pay attention in a mindful set, my right hand is doing most of the maneuvering of the rope in a sense and getting that balance back. And it's not only help balance my shoulders out and level me out, but it's also helped all like to help build up like the synovial fluid in my joints and stuff and really help lubricate my joints now. I mean, being 40 and having played baseball and football and soccer my whole life and injuries and shit, I'm feeling all that stuff. I mean, I know you said yesterday on the show how you're talking about how you're starting to feel you guys are young still, but you're still starting to feel those injuries.
Absolutely.
And I feel a jump rope because of the low impact of it. And like you're saying, it's cardio. It keeps your lean mass. It helps you burn fat and shit. But also for a glass artist, I think it's almost better than doing yoga. And because of not only the physical side of it, but also because of the fact that you're moving your joints in a different manner. Because in glass blowing, we stand usually in the same position and we're like locked into this spot. And our body's like a machine doing the same fucking thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So, and I think too with the jump rope, and what I love about it is the portability of it, for one, but also because you can just stop and jump rope for fucking 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, just to get a quick little break and just to clear your mind.
Absolutely, man. Super powerful.
Yeah, I love it. And so I guess with that too, I wanted to talk about the intermittent fasting stuff and not to get like super crazy detailed into it. I'll put some links in the show notes to some of y'all's YouTube videos where you really get down into it. But cool. I know for myself personally, I love to eat, but also eating is an inconvenience. Like as much as I love the social aspect of it, and I love to cook, and I mean I could eat all fucking day, which is why I got to work out too. But
yeah, dude, I hear that's one of the main drivers of why I work out.
Yeah, exactly.
I really love this cheeseburger that I saw today.
Exactly. But I find like the intermittent fasting for me and my lifestyle and my business and the way I work is also beneficial. So could you talk about that a little bit, like what the concept, I guess, the overall idea of intermittent fasting is?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, just for those who don't know, intermittent fasting is just condensing your eating window. So instead of a typical day where you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you still eat the same amount of food that you would have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you condense the window. So let's say you start eating at 2 p.m. and then you stop at 10 p.m. What that's doing essentially is when your body, for the rest of the day, when your body's not fed, when it's not trying to burn food, then it can concentrate on just burning body fat and also do a lot of other things like cell regeneration and provide a lot of benefits to your body because it's not focused on burning glucose. That's a little bit of like the science behind it. But honestly, man, what you talk about is the more important thing, which is the convenience. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is just like, I totally agree. Like what intermittent fasting has done is completely it's helped my relationship with food because I don't wake up anymore and think, okay, where can I go to get breakfast today? What do I need to make? How much time do I need to set aside to do this? Because I don't do it. I don't eat my first meal. The earliest I eat nowadays is like yesterday, man, my first meal was at 4:30 in the afternoon. And I really was not hungry before that.
Dude, I ate at 6 last night and I was the same way.
Yeah, dude, it's just sometimes it's just you wake up and you know, the nice thing about intermittent fasting is you're not changing, it's not a diet. You're not changing the amount of food you eat. You're just changing the times that you eat it. So for me personally, you have to know what works for you. For me personally, when I wake up, all I want to do is get done what I have to get done for the day. Because I like the second half of my day to be focused on friends, family, relaxing, watching YouTube videos where I can learn something, you know, more like self-development. So I think the beginning of the day is like my get shit done phase. And I just don't like to be distracted by food, you know, like I hate getting, you know, when you get into a groove and then around 12 p.m., like people at work are like, hey, let's go have lunch for an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't want to be at the office all day long. Like I just want to finish what I have to finish and then get out, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I think like over anything, man, the convenience factor of not having to dedicate hours in the beginning of your day to food, and then also the mental factor of recognizing that your body does not need that food and not always giving into those hunger temptations as soon as you feel them.
Until you start feeling hangry, and then it's time to start eating.
Then you best get some food before the world sees that.
Yeah, because motherfuckers better watch out. I'm hangry.
Dude, I'll tell you what, man, some days it is funny though, like as a fitness coach, like I love talking about the unhealthy shit that everyone does, like, and myself included. Like, for example, when intermittent fasting backfires on me is when I wait till like 7 o'clock at night to eat, and then I'm so fucking hungry that like, dude, the other day like I ate like just to break my fast, I ate like a cookie and a cup of coffee, and then that just opened the floodgates. I was like, all right, I got some like tom kha soup with like a double portion of chicken. I got like a salmon salad. Then I got like a piece of peanut butter cake. And then it was just like, you know what I mean? So some days you do have to be careful with that, because I find myself, I'm like, man, the first meal of the day, I'm going to eat a cookie. Like, come on, Dan.
Yeah.
You're better than that, but I'm so starving.
Yep. Yeah, I was like that yesterday. I had a protein shake after my workout. It was probably about 5:30ish, something like that. And then I was the same way. And then I didn't eat again until like 11 o'clock last night. Like I just moved my studio out of a place I was renting. I've been there for like 8 months and just haven't been in the studio. I'm just like wasting money. So I moved my studio space, and by about 11 o'clock last night, I was like, fuck, I haven't really eaten. And then of course I hit McDonald's on the way home. Now I got their chicken snack wraps, and they were grilled, so they're not as bad, you know?
Yeah.
But then, like,
absolutely,
you know, I had a Coke to go along with it, or a Sprite, which is not as bad, but like, you know, I was good. I didn't get anything else, so I was like, man, I want a couple McFlurries and maybe some chicken nuggets, and you know, like, fuck. The next thing I know, I feel like shit, you know. So,
yeah, dude.
And I think that's, you know, kind of on that mindset thing. It's so important to pay attention to your body. If you're feeling like when you're working and you feel sore, maybe it's just like sore pains from, you know, working out or working too much. But like if you feel like a long-term pain or don't feel right, you know, you got to stop. And in terms of food, it's the same way. If you know you eat late and whatever it is you eat late, you feel like shit the next day, then fucking don't eat that shit that late.
I know. Yeah, it's true. It's about being self-aware with your body.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, dude. So on the workout routine, one of the things I want to talk about too is like I think like the huge correlation between this fitness kind of thing with a jump rope, because for me jumping rope was brand new. Like I've been jumping ropes, you know, doing double dutch and all that shit since I was a kid. I mean, I can tear some double dutch up, you know.
Nice, dude. Yeah. We gotta have a double dutch meetup.
Yeah, dude, I would love it, bro. It'd be so much fun. Have a ZDF double dutch day.
I think it's definitely gonna happen for sure. You can't have a jump rope company. You can't have a jump rope movement if you don't do like double dutch.
Yeah, exactly. The killer. We can do all of our shit, but getting through the process of it and like learning regular bounce was so. I mean, there was days. Like, I remember posting videos in our group last year where I was so fucking pissed off. I'm like cussing and like I got lashes all over me from my rope, and I'm like, I mean, it was a mess. But it brought me back to like my early on days of like learning how to be a glass blower and like the frustrations I was going through. I mean, I always say it's like riding a bike, but except instead of scraping your knees, you cut and burn yourself, so it's a little more painful.
Yeah.
You know, but to be able to overcome those obstacles of learning a technique and the mindset and the physical side of it, not to mention that it's wearing you down, so the more tired you get, the harder it gets to do it. But like once you get to that point in that barrier and you get right to that edge of it, it's either you're going to give up and you're going to start all over again, or you continue forward and you get past it. And I think that's such a big thing for the jumping rope. And I mean, I know myself personally, I've noticed it for myself and in our community, but like, what's your perspective on the mindset of it?
Dude, the mindset is huge. And I think like what you just talked about is like so many people, jumping rope, to be honest, is one of the few exercises that if you want to get lean, you have to develop the skill. You know what I mean? Like if you want to lose weight and run, you don't really have to be great at running. You just have to go do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So with jump rope, it's more about like you have to become good at jumping rope before you can spin it fast, and therefore before you could like burn a ton of calories doing it. So yeah, man, I think personally, like a lot of people get to that. Sorry about the, I hope you can edit out some of the background noise.
Oh no, dude, I keep it all in there. I don't give a fuck.
Cool. I like that DIY. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Jumping rope and having to learn skills.
Oh yes, the point where you get to a lot of people get to this point where they're about to give up, and you hit the nail on the head by saying it's actually easier just to keep going and to learn it, because why would you, like a lot of people give up and then it's like, why are you going to stop right at that point? You know what I mean? Because then you're going to have to go back and relearn all of it. Whereas it actually probably would be easier for you just to sit down And like just to keep doing it until you break through that period. But a lot of people don't know that. They associate when something gets hard as, okay, now I'm going to give up and stop and do something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, it's so easy just to say fuck it, I'll just do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow never comes. You know.
So true, man. I guess like to the people listening to this, it's so easy to say fuck it, I won't do it. But I personally believe it's easier to say fuck it, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah.
Because if you start over, it's like the same thing with weight loss, not just learning jump rope, but weight loss in general. People, they lose 20 pounds and then they're like, fuck, this is hard. I'm going to give up for 3 months and start all over. And I'm like, dude, why the fuck are you doing that? Like, you're right there. If you just go, if you lose another 20 pounds, you're going to get to this point where your body changes its baseline and becomes more normalized for that. So like, it's actually easier just to keep going. Don't give up. Like, you're just making it harder. And a lot of people think it's the opposite.
Yeah, man. I think though too, like for me, like when I started doing this with you guys, you know, going through all the initial beta test in a sense when you guys were building this, was going back to your older YouTube videos and like just you narrating it and saying like, if you can't do the tricks I'm doing, don't worry about it. Just do regular bounce, but just try to keep up with this, you know, with the speed and the momentum going. Because when you, like you're saying, you know, it takes time to learn new things, and if you can just maintain what you already know while putting in the new stuff here and there, it really helps. And to continue the workout and get that flow state going, it really sometimes I just had to do just a regular bounce just to keep the shit rolling, you know, because then I would try something different and it would make me have to use my brain to stop and think about what I was doing, which would then throw my routine off or my coordination off, or, you know, and I think, you know, a couple interviews ago, I was talking with Paul Steffen. He's an amazing glass artist, and we got into the whole idea of flow state. And, you know, so I want to talk about that because I think jumping rope is one of those things that really helps you learn how to find flow state. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, dude.
So what's your...
Do you want me to talk?
Yeah, what's your... Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this is something like more recent that it's not, I wouldn't say it's recent. Like Brandon and I have always felt this way about jump rope being able to get you into a flow state, but more recently have we started talking about, I mean, even as like dosing small amounts of marijuana and then jumping rope to get into a flow state. Like we've talked about that, whether you use, if I'm just using an example, whether you use weed or not, it doesn't matter. But the process of getting into a flow state with jump rope, I think is super powerful. Because think about what jumping rope is. It's a rhythm. So your whole goal is to bounce your feet at the same rate that you're spinning the hands. And as you hear the jump rope clicking under the ground, you find yourself, it's almost like a chant, this like click, 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 click. Like, so for me, especially when I'm not listening to music, I do listen to music a lot, but if I have something going on in my head, or I'm pissed, or I'm upset, or I need to work something out, the best way that I do that, man, is honestly I go somewhere and jump rope without any music at all, and I just count the rhythm in my head. I count up to 4, and then I repeat it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, until you get to this. You kind of get to this point where like I get to this point where I feel like I'm completely immersed in the present moment, but I also feel like I could, if I wanted to jump for 2 hours straight, I could. You know what I mean? Like your body just falls into this, like you said, flow state, and you feel like you're so in tune with everything that you almost can't mess up. And I think just the nature of jumping rope is what gets you into that, because you have to be so focused on, are my feet moving at the same rate as the rope is hitting the ground?
Yeah. Yeah, man, for sure. Because like I know with the glass, and I've talked about it a lot in the show, but like when there's so many, it happens just often enough to where I seek that flow state when I'm working, to get like so into what it is I'm doing, where, you know, to use the flow movement, but things are, you know, with the glass, things are constantly flowing, and you got to be like, you know, on point with what you're doing. But like I've been so far into something where, I mean, literally like 3 hours later, I come back from wherever the fuck I went in my mind or wherever I was, and I go to wrap up this piece, and all of a sudden I realize like I'm in my studio, like I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually here in my shop right now. It's the strangest thing. Like my blinders go up, I get tunnel vision, and I'm like, all I see is like my flame and my glass, and I'm just like so in this meditative zone, and the glass for me, that's probably the most important thing I've found, like through my life, 18 years of doing this. And my life has not been perfect. I've done some stupid shit and had weird things go on in my life. And to get in that flow state when you're working, it allows you to really work that shit out, that what's going on in your life. You know, you can routinely make your glass or your art or whatever it is you're doing. The jumping rope's the same way. You know, it's just mechanical routine. But to be able to like turn your head off of what you're doing physically and to really dive in spiritually and mentally to what it is that you need to deal with, man, it's amazing when you come back. I mean, there's times where I've been had tears rolling down my face from it, you know, just like in such a zone.
Yeah.
It's just,
absolutely,
it's incredible.
Man.
And
absolutely.
You know, and I know I listen to a lot of musicians that talk about that. Like they have like a point where like when you're in a band and you're playing and like you go on this little kind of weird, like the Grateful Dead's known for it. They do like their little space jams and they just kind of go out there and it's like they're all in their own little place, but they're all also tight and together. And then all of a sudden, 40 minutes later, the song starts again. You know what I mean?
Hey man, you get rhythm like that and some LSD together, and yeah, you're gonna have quite the little flow state.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing, right? Yeah, like you guys, like we were talking last time about the ayahuasca ceremonies. You know, something I've been hearing about and reading about, and I've always wanted to try, like on a real sense, like you know, with like in a tribe or whatever, like you know, go out and do peyote or you know ceremony or. But reading about the ayahuasca stuff, it seems a little bit lighter than like a peyote ceremony that takes like 3 or 4 days sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, to open up. And I know you guys have talked about doing that recently. So if you want to talk about that real quick, because I think like a lot of our community is interested in, you know, in the different spirituality, you know, openness to things like, you know, mind altering stuff.
Absolutely, man. Ayahuasca was an interesting, unexpected experience for me. Because everyone that I spoke to, obviously, like everyone reacts to it differently. And I think I went in there with the expectation, like I use psychedelics. So I kind of went in there with the expectation of like, okay, this is going to be like mushrooms or LSD, but like times 10. And I'm going to be like taken to this different world and I'm going to see all the shit that's wrong with me. And I'm going to break through it, you know? And what I found was that I feel like I've done a lot of like searching and I've forced myself to go through a lot of shit in my own life. So for me, the ayahuasca ceremony actually wasn't that like crazy as a lot of people described. Like I felt what it kind of made me realize was I did hallucinate slightly. Like I had a few very like vivid visions where I was like, okay, I'm obviously on something. Like this is not reality. But I didn't have like what it what it showed me was like, hey man, stop seeking these things, like stop taking ayahuasca and stuff. Like you kind of already know exactly what you want in your life. So like you don't have you think that you have all this stuff that you have to break through, but in fact you've actually broken through a lot of it. Now it's just a matter of like continuing to be okay with learning and going, you know, understanding that you're never truly going to be there, just being okay with the process. But having said that, the most beneficial part about the ayahuasca ceremony wasn't the drug itself, it was the ceremony. We were taken, you know, out to some town outside of Medellin, Colombia, and we were with like a bunch of people who didn't speak English. So, and we had to spend, you know, you take it and then you sit outside all night. So we're like sitting around with all these people. We have no idea who they are, can't speak the language. And so for me, it was like, it was about that. The biggest benefit I got from it was from doing this thing collectively with these people I didn't know, and then like making friends with them and learning about them and going through the experience. And when the sun was coming up in the morning, we were like sitting around this campfire and this one guy had a guitar and we're like singing songs. They were good songs. I have no idea what they were saying, but that to me was like, oh, this is why I came here and did this, to like just be fully immersed in the present moment of being out in the woods somewhere and just, you know, sitting here and listening to music. Mm-hmm. And so I think like some people, and you know, I'm sure I'm going to do it again. And also I've heard like, obviously like different times you have different experiences and whatnot. I liked it, but I guess my answer is not as, like I liked it more for the actual ceremony and the shaman and like what he made us go through, as opposed to like once I took the ayahuasca, honestly, man, I just got really sick, threw up everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, myself, like through my years of experimentation, usually about every 6 months in my late 20s, early 30s, I would eat mushrooms, like psilocybin wise. And cause I remember you guys were talking about that in the vlog afterwards. And for myself personally, I mean, not to kind of go on a tangent here about, hallucinogenics and shit, but I always found like it was a cleansing for me. Like I would eat my mushrooms and then I would throw up every single time. Like there has not been a time that I haven't thrown up. And what I found was that the mushrooms actually, to me, was therapeutic because it almost like it absorbed all of my negative shit that was in my body. And then by throwing it up, it just expelled all that negativity out of my soul, in a sense, in my physical body, in a sense too. And I would be so clear for months, like having ADD and understanding the brain chemistry and the dopamine loss and all this other shit that our brain goes through. And they're doing studies with psilocybin and different hallucinogens like that, like even with MDMA and stuff, and finding that the chemical that's in there actually helps to relieve depression and anxiety and different issues with focus and stuff. So it's almost like it like releases all and gets rid of all the negative shit and just replaces it with this positive chemical balance instead of having a chemical imbalance in a sense. It's very interesting stuff because I would feel so like walking on clouds for literally for like 2 or 3 months, and then all of a sudden some shit would come into my life that was negative and it would all go back to where I was. It's really weird stuff,
Yeah, I think people, for those people who don't, I'm guessing your audience is like pretty like the Zen dude audience, like pretty open to talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think like the biggest thing that I find is helpful with psychedelics is it just shocks your system. Like whenever I take psychedelics, I just realize that everything that we worry about in modern day culture, like 99% of it is just bullshit and it's totally unnecessary. So I think like when I take psychedelics, it doesn't help me. It's not that I don't care about things, but it helps me realize what's important and what's not. And so it does, I would say since I started taking psychedelics like 3 or 4 years ago, what I've noticed is that when I want to get stressed out about something that I would have 5 years ago, my brain just goes, dude, you don't really care about that. Like stop acting like that's a big deal, Dan,
Yeah. Yeah. It makes total sense. Yeah. And again, with the jump roping, man, it's like, there's times where I'm just going through a rough day. And like you're saying too, about like that, not having the music on, like there's times where I've noticed that, like where if I'm having a bad day and I want to go jump some rope and I'll play music, it doesn't allow me to get out of my bad mood because I'm just listening to the music instead of like listening to what's going on.
Yeah,
in my head,
for sure, man. It's true.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I guess when you're learning it helps to not have music playing. I mean, going with the videos and stuff. And this is completely off the side, but be able to hear your rope bouncing and understand it. And I guess really that goes to just the whole being mindful. Whether you're blowing glass and paying attention to what your glass is doing or what your jump rope's doing or what your body's doing or what those around you in your life are doing, it's being mindful is so important. And it's so, it's so fun just how the jump rope is such a tool to learn all that shit,
Yeah, it is. It's one of I really think it goes back to that rhythm, that clicking rhythm. It's one of the few exercises where, and not to say like a runner could get into this rhythm too, when they're running and they don't have music in and their feet are hitting the ground at the same rhythm and they're counting those steps. But I think it's something about trying to match your feet with the rope that forces you into that state, because it's like people who do, I'm not saying jump rope's an extreme sport, but like guys who do extreme sports they're great at being in the present moment because they don't really have a choice. Like if you're flying down a mountain on a snowboard that's super steep, you have to be in that state of mind. You have to be, and that's why a lot of guys do it, because that's their drug, that's their adrenaline rush, to get into the present moment. So I feel like although jump rope's not an extreme sport, it's a slice of that principle of what I'm talking about, where you have to match your physical movement with your mental body, and that's why you're able, or your mental brain, and that's why you're able to get into that state of flow.
Yeah, man, and it lets the ego go, which is the hardest part of all. and going through the years of studying,
So true.
Eastern philosophy and shit, it's like the ego is like the one thing that they talk about. It's like our biggest hindrance in our life. Our ego, which then has expectations, which then thinks that our expectations are the right expectations, which then think that other people have these expectations. I mean, like some shit that I've been going through and sharing in the group, like I felt like I've been living my life towards what I think other people expect of me, instead of really truly sitting down and being like, fuck all that. What are my expectations of myself? And it's all come to also, dude, it's only because I've been getting this jump roping thing going and really being in the day to day, like you're saying, like being in the moment. And I've always had that mindset of like living in the moment, like, reading Alan Watts and all of his stuff from the past. But,
legend.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah. If anybody hasn't read Alan Watts, man, definitely check him out. But
yeah, dude, or just go to YouTube. I always say that to people, like anyone who's trying to go on this path of like, I'm not saying like full enlightenment, like here you got to read all these books, but whenever someone asks that question, I'm like, dude, go to YouTube, type in Alan Watts, and just start binge listening to his lectures.
Yeah, I completely agree. One of our local PBS, whatever, radio stations, community stations, every Wednesday they would do like an Alan Watts half-hour thing, and I wouldn't, as much as I could help it, I wouldn't miss him every Wednesday.
Nice. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was from his archives or whatever it was. And then I thought the guy was still alive, and then come to find out that he passed away and all this other shit, and I was like, oh, that fucking sucks.
Dude, interesting story. Like he died early of alcoholism, which is very interesting because he talks a lot about, I mean, that's a side tangent, but I think he's one of the most interesting people that ever lived. Yeah.
Yeah, imagine being there, dude, on those cruises that he would do, and just being stuck on a cruise ship with like 50 people, listening to him for 3 or 4 days. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So crazy. So there's something else I was wanting to ask. Oh yeah, I guess I want to talk about you guys and the Zen Dude Fitness revolution that's going on, and the offers that you guys have, because part of what I think is pretty cool what you guys do is you have a 4-week trial run, get into this to see if you like it or not, and 9 out of 10 times people love it and they see transformations, and then they stick with it and they join the group. So if you want to,
for sure, man,
you want to kind of give yourselves a little bit of a plug here and talk about the idea of the different classes that you guys offer, your 4-week challenges, and the community that we have.
Yeah. For sure. Just to be really brief, like we have a free 4-week challenge. We have, after the 4-week challenge, we have the dojo, which is basically just the 4-week challenge on steroids, where you get, I mean, Brandon and I create a product that's just everything that you would need to know about learning how to jump rope and how to eat is included in this dojo, which is delivered in the form of like a physical program, like something you log into, you watch the videos, you download the workouts. But honestly, man, like before getting into, like, I don't really want to go down that route, because guys, honestly, most of our shit is free, and we just want you in the Zen Dude community, because I truly believe that if you learn how to jump rope, you're going to find an exercise, like me personally and a lot of other people who are in our community out there. It's an alternative way that's not only a great way to burn a lot of calories, but for me mentally, it's been really great. It's fun. And I just don't think, I think the world is kind of waking up to this new way of exercising that I personally see that's going to become as popular as saying, oh, I'm a jogger, oh, I'm a jump roper, or oh, I'm a cyclist. I truly think it's going to become its own little sport. I mean, it already is, but I think on the scale that running or cycling, for example, or yoga would be. But so for anyone wanting to learn, and even if you don't have the perfect rope or whatever, I would just check out our channel on YouTube, Zen Dude Fitness. From there, we have pretty much everything you would want to learn about jumping rope, how to deal with injury when jumping rope, how to jump rope fast, how to jump rope slow, what types of jump rope to use, what types of shoes to wear, how to do this move, that move, all types of workouts. So I would encourage most people that if you have any kind of interest in what Jason and I just talked about, just check us out on YouTube at Zen Dude Fitness.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. Before I let you go, I wanted just real quick. Part of our, as a glass artist, again, using our body as we do, we get stiff muscles and sore and shit. And what do you recommend for like rolling out muscles and helping with muscle tension? Because I know you've been dealing with it yourself lately.
Good question. Absolutely. I'm actually really glad you asked this because I'm going to start going on a big like recovery kick in the group now. Um, Dude, a lacrosse ball. Oh my God. Just, I hope, I don't want to ramble, but I do want to tell people about my recent experience because
Yeah.
as someone who works out a lot, man, I never, I've always seen friends who were into like CrossFit and stuff, like doing foam rolling and whatnot, but I never, until I was like 25, like 3 years ago, I didn't really understand the importance of it. And, from jumping rope and being as active as I am, the muscles, I sometimes get tight muscles, and that can lead to things like back spasms. I have some issues with my back because my spine is straight in the wrong area. So I have spasms from time to time, which make my muscles tighten up and then cause excruciating pain. And the nice thing about like a lacrosse ball is literally you just stick it underneath wherever that pain is, and you press out. You press out that pain, and that tight muscle then becomes loosened up again, and the pain actually goes away. So for anyone like trying like with especially like if you're a glass artist and you're hunched over all day working on something, what I found to be the most effective thing, and I just started doing this recently. I used to use a lacrosse ball up against a wall, and then I went and got a deep tissue massage, and the lady was like, "Dude, why don't you just lay on the ground?" And I was like, "That makes a lot more sense."
Right.
So every day now, I lay out like a towel or something, get a lacrosse ball, and lay my back on top of it and just go to those areas of pressure around my lower back, and I'll just sit on the ball until that pain starts to lessen.
Huh.
But I know it's a simple thing, but dude, that walking, jumping rope, dancing, whatever I'm doing that day, it makes it feel 100% better. So out of all the recovery things I could talk about, I really encourage people to get a lacrosse ball.
Yeah, well, it makes sense because I know with like pressure points, even like I'll find a couple spots on my shoulders where I can just hold a slight pressure, like right outside my scapula, and just like it's amazing. I can feel the tension, like I can feel it all the way up into my sinuses. Like that tension just releases because it goes into your neck and then behind the base of your skull and everything. It's like all that tension sucks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Absolutely. So, yes. And it's not like there's anything wrong with you. That's the thing I think that's the most annoying. It's like you don't have to like sometimes the pain is so excruciating that I feel like it's something with my spine. And then like I go get a massage and I'm like, oh no, it's totally muscular. So the reason I'm so on this whole recovery kick is because I recognize that there's a bunch of people who have 9-to-5 jobs who are sitting all day that have pain that they can easily get rid of, but you don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so people are like, man, my back really hurts, but they don't know that they could just lay on a lacrosse ball for 10 minutes and completely get rid of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. And body mechanics are so important because I know a lot of artists will sit and then a lot of artists stand, or they go back and forth depending on what they're doing. And myself personally, I do that. I sit and I stand. And, driving my drive to work, I got a 3-hour round trip commute. And then if I'm sitting all fucking day, man, my lower back starts to get real. Like even today, my lower back's a little sore from doing a 3-day stint, and then did my workout yesterday, and then whatever. So I'm gonna go find one of those. So it's just like a regular lacrosse ball, like they use in like the actual sport.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I've tried some different ones, and they didn't seem stiff enough, like they had enough tension or whatever to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes awesome sense. Hell yeah. Well, cool, man. Anything else you want to say? Any parting advice? Or because I know you're not one to give advice, but you got some quotes of the day, which I enjoy.
Oh, dude. What about the one from yesterday?
Yeah, bro.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was some fire. Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to say that one, man. I'm on this big kick of just like self-confidence, not the strategy. I think a lot of people on the internet want to talk about, here's the 5 strategies to become more confident. Fuck that. I just want to talk about the principle of deciding in this moment right now that you're awesome, that like that you don't need to like learn how to be confident, just fucking be confident.
Yeah.
And so I love this quote from Jay-Z. It's, I'm far from being God, but I work goddamn hard. And to me, what that means is the simple idea that like you're just a human. Like we're all the same. You're not special. Like Jay-Z is not a special person. I'm not a special person. You're not a special person. We're all the same, So being humble and realizing like you are no more important than any person who has, someone like Barack Obama or some lady that you see begging for money on the street. Everyone is an equal. But the second part of that, but I work goddamn hard, to me is just the expression of like, yeah, just because we're all equal, that's why it gives way to this. Whoever's going to work the hardest to become what they want is going to win. So I think having that internal confidence in yourself, almost like that internal cockiness, like no one's going to beat me, I'm the shit. But then on the outside world, recognizing that you are not important and you have to put in the work. If you want it, you have to put in the work just like everybody else does.
Yeah. Amen, dude. That's so true. That whole survival of the fittest, but, you know, with a little bit of integrity behind it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, it's killer. Hell yeah, Dan. Well, again, I'll have all the links and stuff, and I'm going to have your before and after pictures so people can see when you're a husky fella to where you
nice. Yeah.
where now you're a sexy beast. So
you as well, my friend.
Yeah, man. I'm getting there, you know. Got to get my belly tightened, my skin tightened up. May have to get one of those, you know, some plastic surgery or something done down the road. I don't know.
Hey, man, come to Columbia. It's all over here.
Yeah, I bet.
You can get a butt lift while you're at it.
Fuck yeah. Maybe some implants on my lips.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. Awesome. Well, hang on real quick. We'll say bye there. But yeah, thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show. You can definitely check out Dan online. Dan and Brandon both, who are both the founders and owners of Zen Dude Fitness. ZenDudeFitness.com, Zen Dude Fitness all over the webs, YouTube, everything. And we have a ton of fun. And the community on there is amazing. It's grown from 20 of us to now over 700 people in there. It's fucking crazy, bro.
I know.
You guys are gonna need another moderator or something here pretty soon,
dude. It's so we really do, man. Like that's part of my day today is just going through. I do realize that it's getting to the point where like it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
For me to do that, but like it's also just I just love being in there, you know, like checking out what people are doing and having a beat of what's going on.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so if y'all want to interact with these kids, they are top notch. And they also have their Zen Dude TV YouTube channel where every Tuesday they have their Ask a Zen Dude, and they answer a lot of questions, and because they got the answers for sure. So thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next time on the Wise Guy Radio Show. Take it easy. Peace. This episode of the Wise Guy Radio Show is brought to you by Glassroots Art Show. Now entering its 9th year, Glassroots is designed for artists and distributors who wish to do wholesale business with shops and galleries. Located at the Monona Terrace Convention Center on beautiful Lake Monona in downtown Madison, Wisconsin, the art show features at least 25 glassworkers demonstrating and creating pieces for public viewing, live and silent auctions, raffles, and approximately 40 booths consisting of raw material supplies, functional and non-functional art, and glass charitable organizations. This year, in 2017, Glassroots will be held October 9th through the 11th, and for any more information, just go to glassrootsartshow.com. That's glassrootsartshow.com. This episode is also brought to you by The Flow magazine. Since its inception, the focus of The Flow has been to provide a bond among members of the lampworking community. This has been accomplished by developing relationships with the finest artists and sharing their techniques with you through in-depth, step-by-step tutorials. In every issue, you can enjoy great content with the hottest artists and cutting-edge techniques using the latest industry products. These features, along with the continuation of our Women in Glass edition, Glasscraft Emerging Artist Awards, inspiring gallery showcases, dynamic general interest articles, as well as health and safety information, make The Flow the leading international lampworking journal. For more information or to subscribe to The Flow, go to theflowmagazine.com. That's theflowmagazine.com.